What's going on, everyone? So Dalton Knecht is in a very interesting position this NBA season, right? He's going to get some real playing time, at least to start the season with LeBron being out. I do expect him to get some opportunities at the 2, at the 3. Without LeBron being in, Rui will slot more at the 4, so he'll get more 4 time, which means there'll be more opportunities at the 3. JJ Redick himself has even said it's not really so much the offense, it's how well does he buy in and play defensively. We know he can score the basketball. We do. We saw him last season explode on several occasions, go off for 40 or was it 37 or whatever, have 30 game nights, 25 game nights, all of that. We know all it takes is one to get going, and then all of a sudden it's snowball effect. He's had his struggles offensively. I don't think he's the same player since the trade. I think because of the trade, it has caused him to completely check out in a lot of ways. But he's got to get over it at some point, right? I know we all want everybody to be just like, you got to be a project, you got to tough it up. That's hard for anybody to deal with. Lamar Odom had the same thing happen to him, and his entire life collapsed because of it, right? Like, again, it's not as easy as it sounds. We all want to just have guys to be robots and just power through it, but not everybody's built that way, right? And Dalton Knecht went from like, dude, I thought I was your guy, there was all this, to now you're just shipping me out, now I got to come back. Like, it's a weird spot for anybody to be in, but most players have the ability to go, okay, you don't want me, get me out of here. Right? Luka is like, I've seen people be like, Dalton Knecht's too weak, blah, blah. So is Luka weak when he was crying his eyes out because Dallas traded him? Should he have not been emotional about that? Should he have just, bucked up and toughened up? Yeah, he went out and balled out and stuff, but he still had his emotions, he still had his struggles. Right? Like, to me, it's not a sign of weakness. It's just, again, everybody's different. But at some point, if you're Knecht, you have to get over it. Otherwise, you're going to be out of the league. So, again, I do think Dalton Knecht, my hope is, because look, Dalton Knecht's going to have a good night. There's going to be a game, that random game or whatever, where he just goes off because he's a shooter. Right? There's going to be a night where he just has the touch. I don't care how many bad games he has. He could have 100 bad games in a row. Even the worst players in the league on a random night go get you 20, right? Like, Dalton Knecht's going to have that night. My hope is that that's the thing that gets him going, right? That he has a night where he's like 6 or 7 from 3. And then, again, I'm not expecting him to be 6 or 7 from 3 every night, but it kind of builds his confidence. Maybe he hits a game winner or something and it's like, yeah, okay, we're back, baby, right? Like, instill that confidence. And I do appreciate JJ kind of sticking with. I mean, he played the most minutes of it. JJ's trying to get him woken up. JJ's trying to get him back and active and involved and all that stuff. And we'll see. We'll see if he's able to kind of finally wake up from that. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, we'll kind of see. But the reason I'm talking about Dalton Knecht, period, is the Lakers picked up his option through the 2026-2027 season. So they picked up his the Los Angeles Lakers exercised his $4.2 million extension for 2026-2027. So again, picked up his option. Now, again, I didn't expect the Lakers not to, right? He's still valued. He is a guy that at any point can turn it around, or you're hoping at any point can turn it around. And also, he's a trade chip, right? Whether it's just salary filler or it's a team. Because there's always going to be that team that thinks they can do better. I've talked about. I think Dalton Knecht needs a change of scenery. I do. I really do. I hope that he figures it out and turns it around on this team. I do. I'd love to see him just kind of bounce back, figure it out, and be a key fixture and retire a Laker. I'd love for him to become, legit 2-way, 3-and-D. I mean, he's got the size, the athletic. You can make a genuine argument that he is a better fit alongside Luka than even Austin Reeves because of his off-ball abilities, his ability to be a 3-level scorer, his ability to shoot the basketball, right? And he's more athletic too. He's bigger. So he's a bigger, more athletic, better shooting player than Austin Reeves. Now, Austin Reeves is a better playmaker. He's more crafty, all that stuff. But again, Dalton Knecht is in year 2. And if he can project and become kind of close to what the idea of him can be, then he's exactly what this team needs, right? So, but the reality is, we've had enough sample size and enough time to where he hasn't shown any sign of bouncing back, that it feels like at this point, the best option is to trade him. For his sake, if you're a Dalton Knecht fan, you should be hoping that the Lakers trade him for his sake at this point. And look, I fully expect, right, at this point, because we see it all the time, I fully expect Dalton Knecht. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if he goes to the right situation and all of a sudden he's a 15-point-a-game night and everybody's like, oh, look at what the Lakers did. Like, and that entire narrative and conversation begins. And the Lakers, oh, it's Alex Caruso all over again, blah, blah, blah. I almost expect that to happen at this point. But it's kind of like the Luka situation, right? Not saying that Knecht is Luka, but I'm saying, like, Dallas's reason for trading Luka was that essentially he got too comfortable, right? And that he was out of shape, overweight, and just not committed to the game of basketball. He had this major flaw that Dallas believed he would not overcome while he was with Dallas. And Dallas trades Luka to the Lakers, and everybody, myself included, all went, Dallas just guaranteed Luka is going to be the opposite of what they think he is. Dallas just guaranteed that Luka Doncic is going to get in shape, be the best version of himself, and be hungry and more motivated than he's ever been in his career. Like, if Luka stayed with Dallas, it is very likely that he ends up being all the things that Dallas was right. If Luka stays in Dallas, there's a very good chance. If we could see an alternate timeline where Luka stays in Dallas, I think that there is a very big possibility that timeline shows Luka is exactly what Dallas feared, right? The moment you traded him to the Lakers, that was it that changed everything. It guaranteed that we were going to get the version of Luka that we got now. I look at that very similar to Dalton Knecht, right? Like, the Lakers are trying everything. At least the Lakers, to the Lakers' credit, are trying to get Dalton Knecht back. He's played more minutes than anybody. He's gotten more shot attempts than anybody, right? Like, they did everything they could in preseason to get him going, right? So, to the Lakers' credit, they've tried. There's no doubts, ands, ifs, buts about it that they tried to get Dalton Knecht to get back on track, right? But I just think it's one of those situations where the Lakers have a serious issue with Dalton Knecht that I don't know if it will be resolved unless he's traded. But the moment he gets traded, I think that'll all dissipate. It might take a little while, but I think it'll all dissipate. Just like, Luka took a little while to get to the position that he's in. I think that'll all be gone, and then you will see that version of Dalton Knecht that we had hoped. And everyone will be like, oh, look, it's all that. Because, again, like, you basically snapped Dalton out of it by trading him. But I think that's what Dalton needs at this point. Again, I never want to root for the failure of Lakers players. I don't care who it is. Russell Westbrook, I had hope. I said, I don't know if this is going to work, but there is a version of it that can, and, let's be positive, blah, 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 blah. Patrick Beverly, oh, you name it, as bad as it's been, because why would I want to root for the failure of somebody that's on my team? Right? Again, I can be honest about the situation. I can say, like, I don't think this is going to work. I don't like this. Whatever, right? But that doesn't mean I'm actively there's a difference between that and actively rooting, like, oh, and like feeling accomplished because you were right that somebody's terrible. I hate when I have to be like, I was right. It doesn't work. It's not, like, I will not be happy if I have to come on and do a video and be like, oh man, so Lakers traded Dalton Knecht and he's back to being the guy that we thought he was going to be, right? Because, again, I don't want guys on our team to fail, because the better guys are on our team, the better the Lakers are. If Dalton Knecht becomes a 15-point-a-game scorer and he shoots 45% from three-point range and actually plays really good defense and ends up becoming our starting three, guess what? Lakers might end up being a contender and could win an NBA championship because of his floor space, because of his shooting, and he has the size, the length, and athleticism to be a good defensive player, right? Like, he could solve a lot for this team. Right? But I just don't know if he's going to check back in enough for us to be able to do so. And that's the problem. That's where my dilemma lies. The Lakers exercising his option and picking up his option, made all the sense in the world. You knew that was coming. You knew that was probably going to happen. Like, the Lakers weren't just going to cut Dalton Knecht or let him walk or anything like that. Because, again, there's always a team that's going to think that we can do better. If we as Laker fans see the situation going on with Dalton Knecht. Other teams see the situation. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to get the value you want for Dalton Knecht, but there's always a team that will take off like, hey, we'll take Dalton Knecht and value him as a second-round pick or 2 second-round picks. There's always a team that's going to do that. There's always a team that's going to need shooting or thinks he's young enough with enough upside still to where if we can get him back to a version that we saw with the Lakers, that he's completely checked out because he's on the Lakers and whatnot, there's always that team that's going to think that they could do better. Again, you might not get the value that you want, but if I'm being honest, and I've said this every time I talk about Dalton Knecht, I think best case scenario, Dalton Knecht's playing to get traded. I do. I think unless Dalton Knecht becomes like the third best player on this Lakers team, which I don't think happens regardless. Like, never say never, right? I never want to root against somebody. Like I said, I never want to put somebody in a box. But I think unless Dalton Knecht plays at like an all-star level, and even then they might still trade him, I don't think that I think he's gone. I think if he had if he wakes up today against the Warriors and then goes on, a 15-game run, right, and is great, I think you start hearing a ton of and I wouldn't be shocked if before LeBron comes back, Dalton Knecht is traded. Because I think the Lakers will, as they'll get him as high as they can value-wise and then go, all right, trade him. Hurry up. Let's go. Right? Because I just think that they're not going to want to risk him fading back to oblivion. And it's probably also part of why Dalton Knecht isn't playing well. Because he probably knows deep down inside his mental that, like, the moment I start playing good, they're going to trade me again. Right? And I'm not saying he's playing poorly deliberately. I'm saying it's probably a subconscious thing where he knows, like, dude, I'm just playing to get traded. That's all it is. All right? So, anyway, as always, this is a discussion. I pass the question to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos. Truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.